As a social worker and foster parent, I have witnessed countless foster parents come to me over the years, disheartened, exhausted, and traumatized from their experience fostering. It only took a moment to realize that every single one of them struggled with systemic issues. Recruitment and retention were being negatively affected by the level of satisfaction foster parents were experiencing, due largely to a lack of collaboration between key players, including social workers and foster parents. Research is clear in describing the links between agency challenges and foster parent recruitment and retention. High levels of perceived agency support have been linked to increased satisfaction, higher intent to remain foster parents, and increased likelihood of referring others to become foster parents. The Foster Institute found that nearly 50% of foster parents quit within their first year. A recent survey by Home for Every Child revealed that 70% of foster parents have considered quitting. These numbers are staggering and hardly sustainable considering the amount of training, evaluation, and setup that is required to open a new foster home. To understand the source of the breakdown and why social workers and foster parents were struggling with collaboration, I looked back at my own schooling as a social worker. My degree taught me many valuable lessons and theories on social work, supporting families and breaking down barriers for marginalized people. I also discovered, however, the complete absence of training pertaining to one of the key players of the child welfare system: foster parents. Social workers were unfortunately seeing only one side of the story. Heavy caseloads, lack of funding, and a drive towards reunification meant foster parents were often the last person in the child's life to be considered. Children in foster care, however, are supported by many different people: social workers, parents, counselors, extended family, teachers, foster parents, and community members all help support children during their time of need. If one of these pillars isn't maintained, though, the child can fall. I realized social workers needed to know who foster parents were. Foster parents are just like you and me. Some of them are married, some of them are single. Some have jobs, some stay home. Some have higher education and some do not. And some have biological children, while others only parent foster children. To understand foster parents, we must first understand their motivation and break down several myths. Foster parents are volunteers. They do not get paid for the work they do, but instead receive maintenance support to meet the needs of the children. Most people become foster parents due to their desire to support children and families. While there are always those select few who have ulterior motives, generally speaking, foster parents do not foster for the money or to keep children, and this myth should not be the basis for interacting with them. Fostering, however, is hard. The stigma around foster parents is often deafening. Foster parents live their life in a fishbowl, receiving judgment, direction, and complaints from multiple sources. Social workers tell foster parents what to do. Biological parents complain about the care of their child, and teachers and professionals place multiple judgments on the foster parent simply because they are a foster parent. In reality, foster parents love and care for the children that come into their home. They feed them, read them stories, play games, go to the park, care for their wounds, and tuck them in at night. They become a family when a child needs one. Naturally, a foster parent comes to love the child in their home and wants to advocate for the best interest of each child. Over time, a foster parent often knows the child better than anyone, and as any parent would, seeks to protect them from harm. Yet for some reason, foster parents are ignored. They are banned from planning meetings, kept out of email correspondence, continually not updated, and ignored for input. Demands are further placed on them for family visits, appointments, and social work meetings. Rather than asking for availability, as most professionals would of their colleagues, they are often demanded to be here there and everywhere, sometimes with no warning and with zero regard for the life they live. No one cares about them having the time to clean their house, enjoy family time, grocery shop, attend appointments, pick up kids from school, or when they are sick. The needs of other children in the home are often ignored or deemed less important. And if a foster parent cannot meet their demands, they are labeled as difficult, uncooperative, or not supportive of reunification. Mixed in with the demands and complexity of it all come the very real challenges of repeated grief and loss. While reunification is always the goal, it doesn't negate the pain some foster parents feel after falling in love with a child, only to say goodbye to them again and again and again. The nature of foster parenting is hard, and it leaves broken hearts and often depression and PTSD. No one acknowledges the pain of grief and loss and the attachments being broken repeatedly. Those who mention it are again deemed anti-reunification, simply from experiencing the loss of loving someone. But loving a child is fostering done right. Achieving collaboration with foster parents is easy though. With a little bit of knowledge and insight and the support of social workers, foster parent satisfaction can increase and recruitment and retention can improve. To begin with, foster parents want to be respected and valued. Instead of placing demands and expectations, be sure to ask availability. The general guide for respect is asking foster parents at least a week in advance regarding availability for visits and appointments. Provide several options so foster parents can choose the one that works best. If their schedule conflicts, work cooperatively to find a new time, and don't assume the worst or that they are trying to be difficult. Second, include foster parents as part of the team. They know the child and spend every day with them and can provide valuable insight. Invite foster parents to planning meetings, transition meetings, and other meetings. Even if they can only stay for a part of it, it still makes a difference. Reach out by phone or email and ask for the foster parent's input or opinion when deciding goals for a child. Third, acknowledge the grief and loss that foster parents experience. An encouraging note at the end of a placement can go a long way. Recognize that when a foster parent asks questions or raises concerns regarding a child or their family, it is only out of love. They worry about the child's safety and well-being and want those concerns heard rather than ignored or assumed to be an act of sabotage against reunification. Fourth, always be mindful of undue power imbalances. A social worker is meant to support and should not carry unnecessary power. However, many foster parents fear if they do something to upset a social worker, the children in their care will be removed. Remind foster parents that they can come to you with concerns and that disagreements are normal and okay. Fifth, don't be afraid of sharing the process with foster parents. Depending on the training they received, they may not fully understand the court process and everything that is required. Sometimes a social worker may have the same concerns as a foster parent, but legally is required to take certain steps regardless. Share this information, as open communication could go a long way towards understanding. At the end of the day, we are all fighting for the same thing, the safety and well-being of the child. For each case, how that is achieved may look different, and we may all hold different perspectives along the way. But let us not forget, we share the same goal. So let us work together in collaboration for the sake of the child.